Greetings, this is Jim Lindsay. This is a lesson over content from Chapter 7 in your Visio textbook, the step-by-step using Microsoft Visio 2013. This is a fun chapter. It's pretty easy. Essentially what we're doing is we're creating hyperlinks, various types, hyperlinking to websites, hyperlinking to documents, hyperlinking to pages within our own drawings. And we can even hyperlink to specific shapes within our drawings or specific locations within other documents, which is pretty cool. And like I said, it's pretty simple. This chapter begins on page 290 in your book, so make sure that you've taken a look at it and then browse through that and then watch this, and this should make a lot of sense. So let's get started. What files do we need? We need the Chapter 7 files. You can download these from the helpful hyperlinks page that's available from Blackboard. Again, this is Chapter 7, and the Visio document that we'll work with is this HR process map start. You've seen this 100 times already, so you're going to recognize this document. Let's just go ahead and save this, and that's important. Go ahead, do a file and save. Now it's already on your machine, but the reason you want to do that save is because when Visio creates hyperlinks for you, it can make a relative hyperlink or it can make an absolute hyperlink. And the difference between those is explained pretty well in your book. Actually, it's explained really well in your book. But by default, it wants to make relative hyperlinks. And what that means is and by the way, a hyperlink is basically text or something that you can click on in a document and then it opens up something else. Hyperlinks are what Tim Berners-Lee wanted, from the internet, and so he created the World Wide Web and HTML and the anchor tag, basically, so you could go from one document to another document to another document back in 1991. I mean, that was the motivation for him to create all that sort of technology. And so in Visio, we have pictures, right? Well, in order for us to be able to click on things and go from one page of a drawing to another page of a drawing, or to open up a website or open up some other document, we have to have that HTML technology, that tag in the background, and it allows us to create that. A relative link is one which basically assumes it knows the starting point. And so what that means is, if you look in your book, and let me give you a page number here to reference here. Look at page 307 in your textbook as it describes these different types of links. There's a graphic on page 307 which is really helpful. It basically talks about it has like an example of, there's a folder called Human Resources, and then inside of it there's one called Process Maps, and inside of that folder is another one called Recruiting. And so take a look at that, read that. But with a relative link, Visio knows its starting point, and it knows that it's either going to look for something in the same folder, or it knows how to navigate to that other folder from where it's currently saved. And so in order to create those relative links, we have to first save this document. So that was why the first step had you save this. In contrast to that, an absolute link is when the location is a set location. So if it's going to be a web address, it's going to be an absolute link. If it's going to be a hyperlink out to another server, that's going to be an absolute link. So you're going to have a mix of absolute and relative hyperlinks in your drawings. But in order to create those relative links, which Visio likes to do, it first has to know the starting point, and that's where saving the document right out of the gate gives it that ability to start generating those relative links. So that's why we did that. So let's go ahead and just I'm just going to nail these like bam, 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 bam. Like, how do you make links to websites? How do you make links to documents? That sort of thing. Let's start with websites, and we'll just take this log hiring request shape. You've seen this before. Let's say for no particular reason we want to make that link out to the website for the Orioles, which is a baseball team I like. So how do you do that? Well, if we we've got some options here. If we right click it, we can go to what's called hyperlink right here. So again, just right click a shape, you can go to hyperlink, and it brings up this hyperlinks dialog box right here. If you didn't want to do it that way, if you have something selected, you can also use the keyboard shortcut Control-K, and that brings up the hyperlinks dialog box. There's two different ways. You may even be able to do it through the insert menu. Yeah, you also can go through the insert menu. You can also insert a hyperlink. So there's three different ways for you. Once you're here, you then have to tell it what to hyperlink to. And of course, the easiest one to create a hyperlink to is the easiest thing to hyperlink to is a web page. And so I'm going to go to browse an internet address. And what the computer is going to do is it's going to open up my browser, and I'm going to go to theorioles.com. And it's going to redirect for me to the Baltimore Orioles .mlb.com. So let's say that's the web address I want for my hyperlink. I just copy that, go back to Visio, and I'm going to paste that in my space there. You can right click paste or Control V to paste that in there and hit OK. And now if you hover over the top of that shape, you'll see instead of having a regular cursor, you get what looks like a little globe. See if I can zoom in or see if it shows up any better. But that indicates that this has a hyperlink, and it'll give you the alternate text saying, hey, this goes to the Baltimore Orioles web page. Let me close that window up right there. And if I right click on this shape, if I control and click on this shape, it'll go ahead and open up that page for me. It may take a second, but our browser over here is going to then pull that page up. So it's pulling that up. So that's how you create a hyperlink to a website. Again, you just select the shape, bring up that dialog box for hyperlinks, which is Control-K, and then where it says address, you go to browse internet address, and you put in the address of what you want to visit. Now, let's go ahead and jump over to this next shape. We'll go to the process, job description, and screening questions. Let's make this a link to some of the documents that we have available in this folder for Chapter 7. Let's look at these documents. Let's go with the process job description, and we're going to link out to this Excel spreadsheet, the sample spreadsheet, .xlsx. And so in Visio, I'm going to hit Control-K to bring up that hyperlinks dialog box. I'm going to go to Browse, and because it's not an internet address, it's a local file, I'm going to click Local File, and at this point I have to identify the local file. It's only showing me Visio files right now. In order to get everything else to show up down here under the file types, I need to click on this down arrow and go to All Files. I'll go to that sample spreadsheet, hit Open, and I'll hit OK. Now, when I open that link, I'm going to hold down Control and click on that link and say, hey, this could be dangerous. Are you sure you want to open up a file like this? Yes, I am. It opens up Excel, and there's my spreadsheet sample. Now, spreadsheets can be really large. They can be 100 columns wide and thousands of columns deep, and so you may want to go to a specific cell. The last time this thing was saved, it saved at B3. That's where the cursor was when it got saved last. Let's say I want to go down to like G20. G20 is right there. So when it opens when Visio opens it up next time, I want it to specifically open at that particular cell. And you can also dictate which sheet it goes to. I'm just going to go with sheet 1 in G20 is my wish. So I'm going to close that thing up. I'm going to take this hyperlink, hit Control-K to modify it, and so for its sub address, I'm going to hit G20 for cell G20 in that destination. So this time I'll try it. Hit Control, click on it. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes. It opens it up, and it takes me down to G20. So that's pretty cool. Let me show you another type of document we can link into. I'm going to come over here to this HR policy manual, and you'll see if we look in our available files, there's a Word document called Human Resources Policy Manual. If we open that up, that is a 5-page document, and much of it is just what we'd call lorem ipsum text. It's just, kind of placeholder text, but built into this document are some things called bookmarks. And these bookmarks, you'll see I have my Microsoft Word program set up so that it actually shows the bookmarks with the gray markers right there. If you want to be able to see that, if you want to be able to see those bookmarks clearly, the way that you would do that is from the File and Options area within Microsoft Word, you would go to the Advanced area, scroll on down to the point where it talks about document content, and you check this box to show bookmarks. By default, that's not usually turned on, so they're not easily visible. Another way to see those is that if you go to the Insert tab of the ribbon, and you look at for the links area, you've got bookmarks. If you bring up that dialog box about the bookmarks, there are 2 bookmarks in this document. There's one called Recruiting, there's one called Interviewing, and essentially what these do, they act like anchors. And so when you create a link to this document, you can link specifically directly into Recruiting or the spot called Interviewing. And then to see where those are located, if you use the go to, it'll tell you, the interviewing one is at the top of the interviewing page, which is on page 3. Recruiting, if we go to that one, that is at about the 3rd paragraph of page 3. And so those are the existing bookmarks in this document. If you want to make your own bookmark, we can do that. I'm just going to take this, let's go to page 4, Hiring. I'm going to take Hiring, and I'm going to create a bookmark with that. So I'm going to go to Insert a Bookmark, Add a Bookmark, and let's see what that looks like as far as its name goes. Actually, okay, sorry about that. I choked on that. The inserting to get your, what I did, I took one of the existing bookmarks and I redid it. So I undid what I did a second ago. To get a new bookmark in place, you go to where you want it. You go to Insert Bookmark. You have to give it a name. I'll call this one Hiring, and add it. So now you'll see the gray showing up there. So I now have one called Hiring. Why is that important? Well, again, you've got a multi-page long document, and you want to link to it from Visio. Instead of making the viewer scroll through 5 pages, 10 pages, 100 pages of a document, you go directly to the bookmark within that document that talks about whatever the shape is supposed to be representing. So I'm going to close this up, and I don't know about you guys, but I use Google to find stuff all the time. And let me go back to Visio, and let's take this HR policy manual. I'm going to create a hyperlink to the Hiring bookmark I just made. Control K to bring up the dialog box for hyperlinks. I'm going to browse to a local file, and I'm going to have to get the Word document to show up. This guy right here. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and use an absolute path because I want this this bookmark feature to work. So I'm going to uncheck the box about relative on this one. So this is the first absolute hyperlink that you've seen. As far as the sub address goes, I'm going to go to Hiring, hit OK, and we'll check it out. So I'm going to hold down Control, click on the shape. Going to bring up my Word document, and there's my Hiring bookmark. So there you go. So close that guy up and go back to our drawing. So you've seen how to create a hyperlink to a website, an Excel file, a specific cell within an Excel file, a Word document, and then to a specific location within a Word document. You can also do multiple hyperlinks. And so for this next one to show you how to link to a location within a Visio drawing, I'll just go ahead and continue to work with this HR policy manual. You'll see that this drawing, it has page 2 and it has page 1, right? So on page 2 here, I'm going to link to this page of the drawing instead of on top of the HR policy Word document. So I'm going to hit Control K, bring this up, and I'm going to add a new one, a new hyperlink. And this new hyperlink is going to go to, actually just down here where it says subaddress, I'm going to go to page 2. Hit OK. Hit OK. So now, when I hover over the top of this, if I hold down Control, it's going to say, what do you want? Do you want the page 2 of this file, or do you want the Word document? I'm going to go to page 2, and it takes me to page 2. So that's how you create different kinds of hyperlinks. That's how you can hyperlink to your own, within your own drawing. You can actually link to a specific shape. And let me check one thing. Okay, I'm back. I forgot to throw something in here for you guys that I do during the semester with face-to-face classes. I've added a page to this drawing, and I'll upload this to the site so you can see it. But when you open up page 3 of the drawing, you'll see that it's actually, instead of just being like one sheet of paper big, it's like 9 pieces of paper big. And this is what looks like a forest. And there's a bunch of trees in here, the big trees, little trees. And what I'd do in class is I'd say, hey everybody, take a look at page 3. They open it up and they go, ooh, it's a big, it's a big forest. And then what I do after that, I say, okay, somewhere in this forest there's a bear, and I want you to find the bear. And so, we kind of have a contest to see who can find the bear the fastest. But if you look closely in here, about all the way on the right, about halfway down, if you zoom in there, you'll see there's a little black bear. And so what I like to do is create a hyperlink to the bear from the front page. And so you can even set the zoom level of the link. So let me go back to page 1, and let's throw in one more. Let's go to interview candidates. We'll make that the bear hyperlink. So we'll go to Control K. We're going to browse to page 3. And in this case, because that shape, I gave it a name. And that's the other thing I need to show you is I gave that shape a specific name, and its name is BEAR because it's a bear. And then with the zoom level, I'm going to zoom to a level of 200% so that the bear shows up pretty well when someone visits the hyperlink. So hit Control, click on that, and there it goes. It takes me to page 3, zoomed in at 200% to show the bear. So that's something. I'm sorry, I forgot to include that at the very beginning. So I'll upload this new version of the file with the bear page in here. But check that out, try that out. Again, if you zoom out to the full page size, he kind of disappears in the woods with all the different trees right there. So that's creating multiple different kinds of hyperlinks, and you have a tremendous amount of power with that. Okay, so let me show you how to name a shape, and then this lesson will be done. First, you have to make sure that your developer tab is active or turned on in Visio in order to do this, and it may not be. You may see Home, Insert, Design all the way over to View, but you may not see Developer. How do you get that to show up? Well, if you look in the appendix of your book on page 532, again, 532 of your textbook, it talks about running in the developer mode, and it talks about how you make this visible. You're going to go to the File tab here, and then come down to the Options. Okay, so once you have the Options box showing, come down to the button that says Customize Ribbon, and make sure that the Developer box is checked. Make sure that is checked, and then you'll have that Developer tab available. Now next, what you can do with the Developer tab available to you, if you have a shape chosen on the Developer tab, you'll see there's a button for shape name. You can click on that, and you can give it a name. So what I did with the bear here, I chose the bear. I actually inserted that as a picture. I went out to the internet and I found a picture of a little bear, a little black bear, and I shrunk it down and stuck it on the page, and then I chose it, went to the shape name, and gave it the name of bear. So that's how I made that happen. Naming shapes is also described in detail on page 304 and 305. So 532 talks about getting your computer into the developer mode. Page 304 and 305, which is part of this chapter, talks about naming a shape. So that can come in handy when you're trying to hyperlink directly to a place within a drawing. So I think that's it. I hope this information will help you. I will give you assignments which will require you to create hyperlinks, and I think you'll find it a neat feature. So thanks for your time.